Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to the DCS news stream for the 20th of May, 2023. Apologies for not having a tutorial video out today. Sadly, I didn't have enough time to get it done. I was filming a video all about the Matra R550 Magic 2 infrared guided air-to-air missile, because that's as many words as I could think of for describing it. Yeah, and I didn't quite get it done. So rather than try and rush something out, I thought I'll take a little bit longer, and you'll get that in the next few days. So welcome to the stream, Jazzman, Pink Floyd, Tea Kettle Barbecue, Charts, Colin Kelly, Colo97. Welcome everybody to the stream. And it's kind of a bigger one we've got today. We have a bunch of news going on right now. Things are hotting up and getting rather excited, and we even have some news supplied to us this week by a viewer, by a member of chat. So I'll shout that out a little bit later on. Welcome to the stream, Mark S. Welcome, Evangelos. Hello to all indeed. So yes, sadly no tutorial, but we will return to normal service next week. So let's get started with the usual, the Eagle Dynamics DCS World Newsletter. See what goodies we have for this week. Dear fighter pilots, partners and friends, in the latest open beta, DCS 2.8.5.40170, you'll find several updates of the DCS F-16C Viper and DCS AH64D Hornet that cover a range of issues, including missing options and designations, animations, and lighting in night environments. The weight of the S8 rocket... The weights of the S8 rocket were corrected, and the new DCS UH-1H Huey's engine model has finally been added. This is actually really cool. They talked about this a while back. Welcome to the stream, John Bluer and Chandro Hedgewald. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. We've added new features to the DCS AH64D, including the potent AGM-114L missile, L not meaning laser, L actually meaning radar for some reason, and laser spot tracker. Multi-monitor displays and radio transmission in multi-crew have been addressed, including updating the navigation range and resolving missile constraint issues. We continue to teach the George AI to use Hellfires. Actually, I hear that the George AI has problems in this update, but anyway. We continue to teach the George AI to use Hellfires and are working on flight control modes. Please read the full changelog. We will do that very shortly. And then the F-15E Flaming Sunrise campaign by Sandman Simulations is now available in the latest open beta. It offers an evolving storyline depending on the success of the previous mission. This campaign will truly test your DCS F-15E Hornet skills. Enjoy. And please remember, this is your last chance to save 50% off World War II fighters. They're on sale in our shop. Hurry! This exclusive offer is on until Sunday, the 21st of May at 1500 GMT. That is tomorrow at the time of filming. So you've got to be quick. If you're watching this later, then sorry, you've already missed it. How awful. So, the very first thing we have for this week is the latest open beta update. Another minor version bump. We're now at, what was it again? 2.8.5, I think? Yeah, 2.8.5. Those of you who watch my tutorials know that I always call out the version number at the beginning of each tutorial. This is just in case to let you know what version I recorded it in case things have changed in the future. I think that's a valuable thing to do. Several updates and fixes have been made to various DCS modules. The Sandman Simulation DCS F-18C Flaming Sunrise campaign was launched. The starter animation issue when using keybinds was fixed for the Focke-Wulf 190D9 and the Focke-Wulf 190A8, while India Foxed Echo's DCS MB339 has had several fixes, including corrected indication for RNAV bearing, knob behavior, you want your knob to behave, for the gunsight mill setting, and wrong RPM percentage for the anti-ice test. Furthermore, the DCS GF-17 Thunder by Deca Ironworks Simulations, a very good module, in my opinion, has had three major issues fixed, including image shaking during maneuvers, no RBM image for air-to-ground radar, and blackout issue at high altitude due to ECS turned off. DCS F-14, sorry, A/B Tomcat by Heatblur Simulations has entered the first stage of their ground handling and suspension improvements and added some new wing turbulence. DCS Mirage F1 by Aegis has also received a number of fixes worth reading about. Please read the full changelog. We will, just after the newsletter. AH64D development report. The most recent update of the DCS AH64D module includes the addition of the AGM-114L radar-guided Hellfire missile and laser spot tracker, as well as the option for the auxiliary fuel tank. The update also fixes several issues related to the multi-crew, and the rotor lighting effect artifacts at night have also been fixed. The VHF AM radio can now only receive in the 108 to 115.975 MHz range, and missile constraints box and rocket steering cursor are now displayed when safe. Okay, I didn't know that was realistic. Additionally, the George AI now uses weapons correctly, and there is no backscatter message when there are no missiles. Overall, the update has made improvements to the DCS H64D module's functionality. Please check out Matt Wagner's recent video on the AGM-114L radar-guided Hellfire, and to search for, acquire and track a laser designation, make sure to watch the laser spot tracking tutorial. We'll be taking a look at those a little bit later. Pink Floyd and the MB339 is on free trial now. Ooh, it's a nice little plane. I've actually I bought the MB339 because I thought it looked brilliant, and I do like nice jet trainers. I think they're great for just doing navigating flight and stuff like that. And of course, many of them also have a secondary light CAS role. So yeah, really nice aircraft. I haven't done any videos on it yet. I should. I should do a series on that at some point. However, I'm deep into the Mirage just now, so that series will continue. And then, oh, somebody already told me what they wanted me to do next, and I've completely forgotten. What aircraft am I doing after the Mirage? No, mind is drawing a blank. Oh well, we'll work it out at some point. There's probably quite a few videos to go in the Mirage anyway. The Mirage, I'm going to have to do a bunch of tutorials just on the radar, because it has so many niche little functionalities that I'll need to cover in depth. Moving on, FA-18C Hornet Flaming Sunrise Campaign. DCS FA-18C Flaming Sunrise Campaign by Sandman Simulations is a story-driven, semi-dynamic, single-player campaign setting player in place of Squadron XO. You will plan and lead some combat sorties of your squadron, giving your best to create circumstances for coalition forces to win the war. This campaign is also out now on Steam. This campaign combines DCS FA-18C Hornet, DCS Supercarrier, and DCS Persian Gulf, and delivers 100 pages of tutorials, detailed mission debriefings, charts, and kneeboards. We hope that you enjoy it. Thank you again for your passion and support. Well, there you go. That's the newsletter for this week, but let's dive straight into the changelog for the most recent open beta update. One moment while I cough loudly. Okay, that's better. I'm glad you didn't have to hear that. So yes, the latest open beta update. We of course get this new F-18 campaign that was mentioned in the newsletter. There's a bunch of fixes for DCS World itself. Added smoke from vehicles and some static objects based on health. You might see different levels of smoke, giving you a better idea visually if you did any damage. That's kind of cool. Okay, so yeah, things might smoke. I wonder how much of this is based on drone footage that we've all most likely seen from the Ukraine war, where vehicles smoke a lot more when they're hit than I ever realized was the case in real life. So who knows? Who knows? A bunch of mission editor and multiplayer fixes here. What else have we got? Some AI fixes. Fixed exhaust flames effect hanging in the air after a client changes slot or disconnects. That's just kind of fun. That sounds like fun. Flickering smoke. Yeah, that's been fixed. Actually, there was one here that I was very happy about. Where is it again? Yeah, this one here. Multi-threading. Units and smoke are visible through clouds from a long distance. That's now fixed. That's one that was really bothering me. We were doing some missions in the VAF, and I was at high altitude, and my target was obscured by cloud, but I could still see all the enemy vehicles, and so I was able to cheat, which You know, I did, but I didn't feel good about it. It was a little bit irritating that I was able to do something so unrealistic. I didn't realize that was a multi-threading thing. I assumed it was a VR bug, but no, it's actually multi-threading. So then, in the F-16, we get a big update to the RWR. They've adjusted threat positions. Each threat lethality ring has been moved slightly outward. And there's a full description here in the changelog. You should check that out if you're flying the F-16. F-18C is mainly fixies, smaller fixies. We have the Apache, of course, with the addition of the new radar-guided Hellfire. We also have the laser spot tracker. We have the internal auxiliary fuel tank option. The flight model has seen considerable changes. And then the FMC/SCAS has been adjusted to work with this new flight model. So that's all updated as well. And then a bunch of fixies. Hind, bunch of fixies. A10, the named presets for the ARC 210 can now be set in the mission editor. That's a really nice one. I like that because up until now you've had to actually jump into the cockpit and actually muck around with the UFC. This is cool that you could actually have preloaded names. That's really nice. I'm wondering, the Harrier, I think, basically has the same comm page. It has the same radio. The Harrier has two ARC 210s. And I think you can give your presets names in the comm page. In the DID, but I don't think anyone ever does that. So I'll need to take a look at that. John Bluer, I finally have some free time this evening to try this stuff out. Yes, there's a bunch of cool stuff here in this one. UH-1H Huey added new engine simulation model, replacing the old one. There's now the hypoxia effect. I don't know how you would end up high enough in a Huey to get hypoxia, but okay. And the position lights have had their dimness and brightness adjusted. We've got the usual World War II stuff, which I will skip over. MB339, as noted in the newsletter, there's some fixies here. JF17, we've got a bunch of fixies, but we also have this very interesting couple of updates here. Updated, SMS supports the PL12 for a new schema test. Player needs to modify the JF17 Lua to manually add the PL12 to the GF17 pylon. So I assume this means that this will not be integrity check safe. However, if your server allows it, or if you just want to play around, you can swap out your SD10s for PL12s. Now, let me quickly explain. The SD10 is a PL12. However, the SD10 is the export variant, and as I understand it, it has a shorter range and perhaps some other limitations. The fact that we can get the full Chinese Air Force PL12 missile is rather exciting. That will be a lot of fun. So I'll probably give this a go. Get a slightly extended range, slightly improved SD10. That'll be rather nice. And for those of you who don't know, the SD10 is the medium-range missile available for the JF-17. It's very similar to an AMRAAM, to an AIM-120. You know, it initially goes out as semi-active radar homing, and then it becomes active radar homing at a set range once its own seeker can acquire the target. So very, very similar missile. Not quite as good as an AMRAAM, but still pretty damn good. And of course, the PL-12 being a little bit better than that will bring it closer to the AMRAAM, I would expect. Colin Kelly, were you going to do the Viggen tutorial next? I don't recall anyone asking for the Viggen, but I like the Viggen, so I could do. Actually, now that I think about it, I remember people asking about the Mirage F1, so I don't know if it was the F1 I was committing to or not, but I guess we'll find out soon. John Bluer, quick tip to anyone flying solo in the Apache: you need to pop into the front seat and set the LST switch to off center position as George defaults to on. I suspect that will be hotfixed. Very well. Yep, then we've got the Viggen. They tweaked the HUD glass for better visibility, fixed various sound loop issues. The afterburner sound has been adjusted, added ability to move ahead in the cold start mission in case of a misfiring trigger. Interesting. Okay, fair enough. And then F14 from Heatblur, major ground handling and suspension overhaul phase 1. Improved the general suspension, improved taxi behavior and ground roll characteristics, improved ground handling sounds, more ground handling improvement to come. Now, Razbam, take note. Heatblur have added the pedal shaker sound to the F-14. The Harrier also has a pedal shaker, and I would love to hear the burp, burp sound. It'd be even cool if the test was implemented and you can make it burp. Colin Kelly, yeah, I believe it was the F1 now you mention it. Yes, I think it was. I could be wrong. The thing is, I will do whatever's most popular with chat. So, if a bunch of people in chat shout out and say, I want you to do the Huey, then I'll do the Huey. Although, if you look back through my videos, I did the Huey about 8 years ago or something like that, a very, very long time ago. Mr. Yeti, evening, welcome to the stream. Also on the F-14, added wing turbulence and wind sounds for additional feedback, queuing at high G/pitch rate. And there's also now a DLC deployment sound, which is kind of cool. It's nice. They've now added that that realistic buffet option. That's pretty cool. Yeah, lots and lots of stuff here. Very, very nice. Yes, pedal shaker in the Harrier would be useful. The only problem is the pedal shaker in the Harrier, I believe it triggers on AOA, but it also triggers on wind vane movement when you're in the hover. I think if the wind vane goes one direction or the other, it will vibrate one pedal or the other. And of course, we're kind of missing that feedback. And there's not really any way of doing that. Although there was a guy, and I sadly can't remember his name right now, who sent me a video of his homemade pedal shaker setup for his rudder pedals, specifically for supporting the Harrier. So that was really cool. If you're in chat right now, make yourself known. We'll give you a big shout out because that was really cool. Bunch of additions to the Mirage F1 by Aegis. Aegis are always knocking out the updates. I'm not even sure if I can cover all of this, but there's tons and tons of stuff. Yeah. Lots of really interesting stuff in here. So yeah, check that one out. The Black Shark 3 has updated APU and engine sounds. And I think that's pretty much it. Do we have any... No known bugs shown at the bottom. Sometimes they list the bugs that they're aware of. As I understand it, I don't know any detail, but I saw some of the Apache guys in VAF mention that George has some bugs in this current update. So it's worth keeping an eye out for that. George might be behaving strangely. He's maybe not feeling top of his game right now. Echo, welcome to the stream. Postelou, hello from France. Welcome. Bienvenue, or something. Wait, is that even French? I don't even know. I'm sorry. In any case, welcome. So, we have, from last week, a couple of videos from Matt Wagner, the first one being on radar-guided Hellfire missiles, and these are in-game now as of the patch that was released on Thursday. So very, very exciting stuff. Confusingly, the AGM-114L is actually the radar. Ooh, Pink Floyd, Montreal. Very good. So yeah, I guess initially we're really just seeing this. Now, of course, something to note is that although he's showing off the radar display here, we don't have the radar. Actually, that's kind of funny. I guess this is placeholder right now. I didn't even know that the radar display was even showing up in game right now at all. I don't recall when I was paging through it before. Maybe it was already there. The FCR page was already there and I just didn't notice. But clearly it's not active. We don't have the FCR in sim as of right now. So although these are radar-guided Hellfires, you cannot use the FCR to fire them. You can only use points that you designate on the... what's the moving map in the Apache called? I now can't remember. But basically, you can use the TADs to designate a point on the ground and tell the Hellfire to attack that. Yep, Griffinizzle, I'm super dumb. How the heck does radar-guided Hellfires work without Death Do Not? Well, there you go. Perfect timing, I just explained. It doesn't really, in so much as all you're really doing is setting a set of coordinates, and the Hellfire will fly to those coordinates and hit whatever it gets a radar reflection off of. So it's operating in a kind of fairly autonomous kind of handoff mode. Bit of a teaser for the FCR there, yes indeed. John Blur, I was massively surprised they don't require the FCR, but it does make complete sense. Yeah, you can just feed them a set of coordinates and they'll look for a radar reflection at that location. Connor, I've not managed to have George hit a single radar Hellfire, but then it works fine when I swap to his seat and do it myself. Not sure if it's a VR-related issue, since a friend not in VR has no issues. TSD. Thank you very much, Echo. Yes, you use the TSD. Excellent. Nobody really knows right now, other than probably Razbam ED. John Bloor says, yes, with regards to the F15E release. I have a little bit to say about that a bit later. You know, the fact that pre-release copies have been handed to a whole load of YouTubers. Not myself, sadly, I'm not important enough. But a bunch of YouTubers have pre-release versions of the F15E Strike Eagle right now and are even releasing videos. Some of them releasing videos that they shouldn't have, and I'll cover that later as well. But yeah, that would suggest to me that we are very close to release at this stage. At the point that you start giving out kind of journalist copies, then you're usually pretty close to releasing the game. The module in this case. So, you can see here, our man Wagner has the TADs up. He's going to look for a target. It shows on the screen target data ? And he holds down a button, the name of which I now can't remember, but if you watch this video you'll find out. And that actually generates a target point, and he's then able to attack the target point using the Hellfire. Lol, always, says John Bloor. Fantastic. So, yeah, I might bump this forwards a little bit because he's doing a lot of talking right now and we can't hear his talking, so it's not super interesting until he actually fires a missile. We want to see things go boom, don't we? Ooh, Colin Kelly. Well, thank you very much, sir. That's very flattering. Actually, I think your channel is one of the most important, if not the most important. Mitchell, the people that didn't pay get it first. Annoys me. I know. I feel you, bro. I feel you. But honestly, that's always the way. I work in the games industry, and we always give pre-release copies to people that will show it off and get us the most sales. Like, that's just the reality. That is business. So he's going to hold down a button. I don't really know which one. And target data ? Will disappear from the TADs. This is what we're watching for. And he's actually using the target tracker here. You can see it's tracking number 1. Yep, look at the arrow. He gets a range, and then target data disappears. He has a solid box. He's going to pull the trigger. Phoomf, rifle. Fantastic. Nico, will it come to Steam this year? I don't know. I have no idea how that works. I would assume so. Steam is such a huge market. For all these kinds of things, I would imagine surely it has to be coming out on Steam. John Bloor, one of the SMEs for the F15E, tore this and said individual, a new one in a particular. Okay. I don't understand that sentence, but okay. Oh, and Pink Floyd, don't worry about the drama. The drama's coming. I'm going to cover the drama later in this very stream. OMG first Mosty? Everyone's saying things that I don't understand. I don't understand the kids these days. They say words that I don't understand. I'm an old man. I'm angry. Makes sense, kids. Connor, it's just from holding laser. Ah, great. Okay, laser second D10. Cool. That's great. Thank you. So that was the first one. That demonstrated how to generate a target point and launch a radar Hellfire against it. Of course, that's not really how you would probably use the Hellfire in real life. You're generally, I would imagine, I don't know anything about it, but I would imagine you can use the FCR. We'll be getting the FCR later. However, we now also have laser spot tracking. Colin Kelly, I don't know if I'm more excited about the F15E or the F4. Oof, hard one, but I think for me it's more the F15. Although the F4 is also amazing. That's going to be really, really cool. It's going to be perfect for going up against the MiG-21. It's going to be perfect for the new aircraft that Decca's coming out with, the name of which I now can't remember. Yeah, it's going to be very, very cool. So here we go, laser spot tracker. This is this is a feature I'm surprised they didn't have it launch, because it's fairly important for the way that aircraft kind of pass off targets to each other. So yeah. John Bloor, laugh my ass off. Okay. I'll be slightly more specific. One of the Strike Eagle SMEs in RB's Discord tore into the person who posted... Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm going to show some screenshots later. Don't worry. So here we go. Laser spot tracker. Yes. Cold Stranding. Modern Red 4 is a screaming need in DCS. I agree. Sadly, the kind of legal situation, and probably to a degree political situation now as well, in Russia means that we are almost certainly not seeing anything Russian. Why did I pronounce it like that? Russian in DCS anytime soon. I think there is, of course, the possibility of the very early MiG-29, but I think anything other than that is just going to be an absolute no chance. We're not going to see anything like that. So when it comes to Red 4 now, we're going to have to rely on China. We're going to probably see some cool Chinese stuff. Yeah, so that's cool. Michael Jackson eating popcorn gif. Very good. So our man Matt Wagner does a bunch of talking here. He talks about programming the laser spot tracker. This works in pretty much the same way it does in all aircraft, so this is not really anything too exciting. But you enter a code that your laser spot tracker will look for, and then you will make radio calls. He's just made a radio call to a JTAC. Actually, no, in this case, I guess it's really an AFAC, because it's a Predator drone. And it's going to laze an area, and then he's going to flip his little switch to automatic, and the TADs should slew towards wherever being blazed. Oh, he's still doing a bunch of radio calls here. Right, okay. Yep, pushing the laser trigger forward to automatic. This will happen quite fast, I imagine. Come on, do it. Do something. Focus it with stick. There's also a manual mode where I believe you have to slew the TADs quite close to where the laser is. But in automatic mode, it does some kind of a search pattern, as I understand it. There we go. There we go. Slewed, and he's got a solid box. He's ready to fire. I think these are laser Hellfires that he's firing this time. He's using the auto tracker. That's nice. It's so cool that they've implemented the auto tracker. I think we're supposed to have the auto tracker in the targeting pod that the Harrier has as well, but we don't currently have that implemented. Multi-target tracker. Very cool functionality. Well done, Eagle, implementing it in the Apache. So launch. Whoosh. Time of flight, 5 seconds. And we're about to see something go bang. Sploosh. Nice. Very, very good. Griff Nizzle, best we can do is a MiG-23. I'm actually rather excited about the MiG-23 because that is, you know, by many accounts, a terrible aircraft, but it's still capable. It can fire missiles that are dangerous. Yeah, so it'd be cool, and it allows us to recreate, you know, a bunch of scenarios, like, you know, various situations that occurred in Libya, basically in the 80s and 90s. We can recreate with this, so very cool. It's going to be good to see that. Simba 11, yes, Wagner tutorials. So dry mutes might be the best way to watch them. Oh, come on. I like Matt Wagner's videos. They're super good. They give us an insight into things that we haven't even got our hands on yet. Although in this case, we did just receive this. John Bloor. So there was a very specific thing one of the ED devs said, I think in their Discord, something along the lines of, they cannot do modern Red 4, but they hoped a third party might rise to it. That's the thing, of course. ED's exposure, given the fact that many of their developers are still in Russia, or at least I believe they are, is too high. ED themselves cannot touch anything Russian, really, with a barge pole, because they are going to people are going to end up getting gulagged. So, yes, I think it's definitely possibly within the realms of something a third party could do. Even there, I think you'd have to be quite careful. Cool. Nico, MiG-25 would be nice. MiG-25 is still very classified, I believe. Although we've now moved on to the MiG-31, but yeah, the 25 is like crazy. You know, crazy classified, I believe. Although the Americans got one, of course, to disassemble, so we can probably ask the US government how a MiG-25 works. Echo, Wags is like the Bob Ross of DCS, so relaxing and informative. Great video tutorials. Strongly agree. Matt's videos are great. I always watch them as soon as they come out. So here we go. He's demonstrating further attacks here, because the Predator drone is kind of lasing additional targets for him. And he's then tracking them, turning on his laser, and firing. You see how quickly he's able to do that as well. When he shifts the laser spot to another target, he's able to engage quite quickly. So, nice. Really, really nice to see this. And just to repeat, this is now in-game as of 2.8.5. So, Apache jockeys, get your hands on this right away. Pink Floyd, I mentioned to Wags that he had a golden voice, like Celine Dion, and he said he was okay with that. Wow. I've never spoken to Wags. And that's probably for the best, given all the uwu nonsense. Moving on, we have more videos. There's so many videos this week. We have a lantern targeting pod video from Razbam themselves demonstrating how this works. Now, I'm not going to play this one in its entirety because it's going to take absolutely forever. But our man Notso demonstrates the lantern targeting pod here. You can see that he's doing a flight at night. He's demonstrating FLIR in the HUD. He's demonstrating using the lantern targeting pod, and he was also demonstrating using the air-to-ground radar. So very, very nice. And then he jumps to the back seat in order to do the actual attack. He demonstrates the kind of the wide, the narrow, and the expanded fields of view in the lantern targeting pod. I'm wondering if there's really anything else worth showing. Like, honestly, you want to watch this video in its entirety. My kind of quick flip through it is not going to do it justice. It's quite a long video. It's something in the region of half an hour, I think. No, actually 22 minutes. It's about 22 minutes long. Well worth a view. As always, Notso is a subject matter expert. I believe he was a weapons officer, a Wizzo in the F15E IRL, so he absolutely knows what he's talking about. Oh, Notso may or may not have been said irate SME. I would not be surprised. I can imagine Notso being fairly miffed if people have been releasing stuff before they were supposed to and misrepresenting the product. Yes, I can imagine Notso being a bit pissed. I can imagine Ron actually being rather pissed as well. But, anyway, these things happen. As soon as your product's out there, stuff happens. At the company I work for, we've on multiple occasions had beta testers actually leak our products, unreleased builds of our games, and just start copying them and handing them out to friends. That's not cool, by the way. If you're a beta tester, don't do that. That's very much against your NDA. So yeah, I don't know if there's really much more to talk about here. This is a seriously in-depth description of how the Lantern Pod is implemented. And as I've said before, very interestingly, Razbam have taken the approach of simulating an earlier version of the F15E initially with the Lantern Targeting Pod, and then as time goes on, they're going to give us Lightning 2 and then Sniper XR. So this is going to be very, very cool. And they even talked about the ability to, I don't know if this is exactly how they're going to implement it, I might have misheard, but my understanding was that in the mission editor you'll be able to set the era for your F15E Strike Eagle once they've actually released all the different eras. So you'll be able to kind of set, I want a 1980s jet, a 1990s jet, or whatever, and you'll get the correct options. So that's rather cool. Mr. Yeti. Is that the ground radar on the left screen? Yes, it is. That was ground mapping that you were seeing on the left screen in the back seat. Very, very nice simulation of the air-to-ground radar. Best I've seen. Colin Kelly, just me. I always pre-order to provide the devs some cash flow to finish. Yeah, actually, I tend to do that as well. I'm not necessarily advocating that everyone should do that. A lot of people have very, very good and well thought out reasons for not pre-ordering, and I respect that, and I think that they're almost certainly right. However, I do pre-order because I want to support the devs, but I will often not actually play the module or the game, whichever it might be, at launch. So I'll pre-order, but then I might not necessarily immediately jump in. I'll maybe give it some time to mature. So there you go. T-72 destroyed with great precision. Very, very nice. Good work, Razbam. Good work, not so. And then also this week, we've had so much stuff going on this week. Razbam also released a video on the targeting pod, HRM, and INS update. They demonstrate a whole bunch of stuff here. Again, I don't know how much of this I'm going to kind of show you or talk over the top of. This is a much shorter video. This is only 2 minutes long, but they demonstrate a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, using the radar, I guess, to do an INS update. You can also use the targeting pod. Charts. Buy it, fly it, store it until it matures. That's what I do with most modules. Same, actually, yeah, I will tend to kind of buy fairly early, but then wait until it's good. Okie dokie. So yeah, you can see here the I think he's showing the offsets here, sort of between what the radar is showing and what the INS displays. So I guess this is a demonstration of doing that INS update. Very cool stuff. I love the detail they're going into with the software suite in the F15E. I think this is going to be quite complete. Perhaps even more so than Jane's F15E Strike Eagle, which was, in my opinion, very complete and very good for its time. Yeah, Mitchell is cheaper in pre-sale. That's the other reason I do it, actually. I like to save myself some money. You know, flight simming is a very expensive hobby. I'm not made of money. I'm just a poor boy from a poor family, and it's nice to save a little bit of cash because, of course, I spend so much money on the hardware in order to play these flight sims and modules. But there you go. There's another video from Razbam, all about doing INS update using the radar and the targeting pod. Very, very cool indeed. Very cool indeed. So, moving on, we've got this. Now, I've got a bunch of little snippets of news that come directly from a member of chat. Big shout out to John Bloor, who has been scouring the Discords and the internet for exciting news. And this is a cool one that he showed me. Trapper Jack's just some chatter, but this guy is pretty in the loop a lot of the time with upcoming DCS stuff. And I don't know what the username is here. This guy just has a frog face for me. But he says, well, one thing I'm excited about is that we may be getting an early AH1 variant. Matt Wagner was at Pearl Harbor Aviation Museum with some devs taking lots of pictures of an AH1F and doing some cockpit scans. The same employee that saw him had to scan a few old mission logs for the AH1F as well. So this may well be the case. One thing that I'll say, of course, is that if they're at the stage where they're just turning up and taking pictures of things, they're clearly at an exceptionally early stage of development. So I'd imagine this is something in the far, far, far future. But quite possibly, Eagle Dynamics are working on an AH1, a Super Cobra. F model being pretty early. I think, if I remember correctly, F would be Vietnam era, right? It's not one of the kind of modern super duper Super Cobras, but still, very nice to see, even if it will be a rather elderly one. Yeah. John Bloor, H1F is the boxy canopy 80s boy with toes. Nice. Yes, Cobra, Mitchell, Cobra. John Bloor, I think this F15E release has been a bit of a mess, but I also think it's going to be a fantastic module. Both can be true. I actually agree. I actually very much agree. It's not even so much Razbam who've messed it up, to be honest. Or at least as far as I can see. Like, it feels like when it came to the trailer earlier on, they were let down by a contractor. I don't have any insider information about that, but it sounds to me like they were let down by somebody. And then now, in this situation, it's been a content creator who's let them down. So, you know, I think Razbam are doing a perfectly good job, but sadly, sometimes there can be chaos and madness happening around you, and you can't necessarily always control that. So anyway, this is one nice little snippet here. Something else that we got was this. Now let me see if I can actually make this readable, and I'll read it out to you. This is all about the Gazelle. This comes from the Polychop Discord, SA342 general chat, and it comes from Polychop Kinku. Well, that's the user. Again, this screenshot comes from John Bloor in chat. Big shout out, well done. They've been working on a flight model revision for the Gazelle. Now, I knew that they were planning to do this, but my understanding was that this was going to happen after the Kiowa. We now understand that, in fact, it's going to happen before the Kiowa, and in fact, well, I'll go into more detail about that, but it could be happening very soon, TM. So, Polychop Kinku posts, I haven't talked about the FM change much, because it's near impossible to convey the difference with words. Likewise, screenshots and even video don't really do it justice, since it's not something that can really be shown. Yeah, I agree. I don't know how they would demonstrate this. I guess they could, you know, have two videos side by side of... Even that's not really going to show it. Anyway, since I've been flying the Gazelle so much with these changes, I'm so tuned into it that I sometimes wonder if the difference is actually that significant. Today I found out. Jumped into the cockpit to quickly test something, went to lift, and with a loud cry of, WTF, went wildly into the great blue yonder. Flailing to stabilise my aircraft, I only made things worse until my inevitable barrel roll into the nearby control tower. I'd loaded up the wrong version of DCS, with the vanilla Gazelle without realising, and my instincts were naturally tuned to the new flight model. So my best summary of the upcoming FM change is now best described as whatever the opposite of what the fuck is, and I'll leave you all to judge that comparison once you get your hands on it. Now, what? Mr. Yeti, how could you? How could you create confusion, gnashed teeth, and disarray? They have not cancelled the F-15, don't worry. That's coming. The F-15 drama is coming later. So yeah, apparently they have this big flight model rework for the Gazelle, and actually, as I understand it, scouting the Polychop Discord, they were intending for it to be released with the patch 2.8.5. We were supposed to get this flight model update actually on Thursday, which is amazing. I had no idea that it was coming so soon. They missed the deadline for submitting their patch, so sadly we didn't get it in 2.8.5, but they're strongly suggesting that we're going to get it in the next patch, and they've also said that we'll get something extra as a little thank you for waiting, but they've not stated what that might be. So, there you go. Oh, this is the same guy. Thank you, Nico. By the way, Kinku equals ham. I wonder if that's pronounced like shinku. Also, slang word for butt. So, I saw a channel of a guy doing a bunch of flying in the Kiowa, and it was this same name, I just realised. So yeah, this guy's one of the Polychop chaps, and he does actually occasionally post videos as well. So Spellsword 91, hopefully the Gazelle gets its redemption arc. I think it will. The thing is, I already like the Gazelle. They already tuned the flight model a bit from its height of insaneness. You know, the whole flying upside down stuff and all that business. But it still needs some work for sure. But I still enjoy flying the Gazelle in its current state. So it's only going to get better. Something else we got was, I need to reset my zoom level now, was this image, actually, of a Gazelle carrying hot missiles, but also, check it out, the gunner has a goggle sight as opposed to the little television screen, connected to the same periscope sight, or a similar periscope sight, and they're also apparently updating the reticle and the way the sight works to make it more realistic. So, kind of cool. I'm really excited to see this. Some work being done on the Gazelle, because I rather like it. And I don't know, this looks like updated materials on the exterior model as well. The textures look nicer than I remember, but maybe I just don't remember. Yeah, so this is very, very cool. We're getting some more equipment, some more variants, we're getting an updated flight model, and apparently Polychop have said we're getting something special as a little surprise as well. So, very, very cool. Alrighty, so onwards to the little bit of drama around the F-15. Spudknocker posted an unauthorized F-15E tutorial and had to take it down again. Full story in the comments. So I saw this in the VAF. A bunch of people actually posted the video, and I was like, oh, that's great, I'll watch that later, sorry, that'll be really cool. I'm excited to see, because it was like a full startup video and a bunch of other stuff. And then by the time I went to go and watch it, it was gone. It had been pulled. So Bonzo82 here on Reddit commenting on the story. In case you wondered where these videos and or the other thread went, here's what happened. Spudknocker was given access to a preview build of the F-15E and was expected to publish a first look/review video. He made 2 tutorials instead, one for cold start, taxi and takeoff, as well as another one for the laser-guided bombs. The LGB tutorial was taken down immediately. The cold start video remained online for a few hours. During that time, an SME and RASBAM pointed out various inaccuracies with the tutorial. Other RASBAM officials seemed taken aback by the fact that he made a tutorial instead of what was apparently agreed on. A little later, the startup video was privated as well, and Spudknocker posted an apology, claiming that he had taken it down on ED's request after he used a wrong build. Poor boy Spudknocker, making mistakes. I honestly have a hard time believing this explanation, thinking it's much more likely that someone wasn't amused about the unauthorized tutorials. Even more so, RASBAM's CEO stated in the past that they would publish an official cold start tutorial video that would then indicate an imminent release. As you can imagine, Spud's video coming out shortly before an upcoming patch caused a lot of false hype and confusion. Yeah, there were a few guys in the VAF who were saying, oh, F-15's coming now, and they were, in fact, wrong. Yeah, poor Spud. Poor Spud. He made a mistake. It's easily done. Nico, when I saw that on my YouTube feed, I went to check if F15E was on Steam Shop, as I would expect it to be there the moment the tutorials hit the YouTube. Mitchell, when the start video came out, I thought for sure we were getting it in 24 hours. Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that, and that was very confusing. And then we've got this screenshot here of the response. RASBAM staff commenting on Spudknocker's tutorial. Release. RASBAM Prowler says, this is not our by the procedure cold start video. In some way, it is a surprise. And then further, some people commenting as well. Was just expecting a review, like my thoughts on the F-15E, not guides. Same. So did we, says Metal to Mesh, who of course works with RASBAM. I'm sure it'll come. Metal to Mesh, but hey, nothing we can do. RASBAM Galinet. He had at most 12 hours to make that video. So yeah, a lot of surprise going on here. A lot of surprise. Charts. I would have thought the developer would want to see what's being put out before it's released. That would be my expectation as well. Although, to be fair, I've on occasion, I've created videos and tutorial videos for products that are not public release yet, and some developers insist that I show them the video before I make it public, and others don't. But even the ones who don't, actually, just as courtesy, I have always shown the final video to the developer before I've set it public, just in case I do something wrong. Because I've done tutorial videos for all kinds of games in the past, and that's always been the way I've done it. Show it to the person who's the developer, let them sign off on it. It's their game after all, you're representing their game. And when it's a pre-release build that you have, I think you have a duty to ensure that you're not exposing anything that might reflect the game or the module or whatever it is in a bad light. If you're showing off incomplete work, then you want to make sure that you're only showing off the bits that are ready for people to see, and not show off all of the dirtiest, grimiest bugs that you can find. That's just not cool. John Bluer, I can send you screenies of Not-So's scathing comments. Please do, John Bluer. I think that'd be very interesting. If you send that across, I'll pop it up on screen and we can get a look at that as well. In the meantime, though, while we're waiting for that, I will, as I often do, pimp the VAF, because we're actually at the end of the news right now. The VAF, or the Virtual Air Force, is a virtual online squadron that was originally started by myself and dotChuckles many, many moons ago. It's a kind of opt-in milsim style squadron. You've got the option of joining as a freelancer and basically flying whatever you want, whenever you want. Or alternatively, you can join one of our internal numbered squadrons, and you would then do all the kind of standard basic training. You would do a type rating on that aircraft, and we have additional qualifications thereafter. We do sessions every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 PM UK time. We usually do a bunch of kind of training sessions, and then we flip to like a campaign of mission sessions as well, usually in a kind of campaign style. So, yeah, that's the Virtual Air Force. We currently have squadrons for the Apache, the Harrier, the A-10, the F-16, and the F-18. The Discord link for VAF is in the show notes below. Everybody is welcome, whether you fly with us or not. Please jump on in and say hello, hang out with us. That'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Come join the VAF. We're always looking for more pilots. On top of that, actually, we're always looking for ATC, mission makers, admins, all kinds of people. Everybody is welcome. So, in the meantime, John Bluer sent me those links, so we can take a little look here. We've got some comments from Not-So. So, I'm still catching up on the Spudknocker vid release debacle. It seems he did those vids from an internal build rather than the press release build that everyone else got. No way he could have done those so quickly otherwise. Isn't that sort of a douche move, just to get a leg up on his competitors? How did he get access to an ED build? I know that it is possible for external parties to get these internal alpha builds from ED, but you would have to be under NDA, and you'd have to be in some kind of special vetted group. Perhaps Spudknocker is in fact in one of those groups. Other comment, I don't even think it's ED's fault on this one. I think it all falls on Spud being an ass clown. Now, I think it's probably safe to say that Not-So doesn't speak for Razbam. You know, he's an SME. He provides, you know, advice and critique and so on to Razbam. So I doubt he's speaking on Razbam's behalf here, but I can imagine that Razbam feel the same way. It's not brilliant. Like, you know, as I said, this is not something I would do myself. If I was dealing with a pre-release build or something of that nature, I would absolutely not release it without first having the party in question review it first. I think that's the way. Mr. Yeti, any news on Sinai? No, nothing specifically. Last we heard, it was basically due to release any day now. So that's all we know right now. I would expect it, yeah, literally, like maybe the next patch, maybe the patch after, I don't know. It could drop any time now. It's very close to being ready. John Bluer, the Schadenfreude is strong for me right now. I'm glad it's not me. I would be very embarrassed. I would probably actually post like a piece to camera video and apologize if it was me that did something like that. But I doubt I would do something like that. You never know. We all make mistakes. Also, Deepak, there was the Kiowa L2 Mums screenshot. That's true. That's true. John Bluer did also send me a screenshot of what the L2 Mums in the Kiowa looks like. This is like a TADS style system that the Kiowa has. I think it works with the data link as well. Am I remembering that correctly? I think it shows the position of friendlies, and you can also mark target positions on it. So it sounds pretty damn cool. And this is something that Polychop were showing off. Oh, Simba 11, they're still adding some unique structures to my understanding, but you will enjoy the map. Colin Kelly, ready for Kiowa. I am buying the Kiowa as soon as it's out. I don't care what anyone says about Polychop and the Gazelle. I think the Gazelle's great. Yes, they could have maybe done a little bit better, but they're resolving that now. Really looking forward to the Kiowa. So, very, very nice. Very nice indeed. Mitchell, anyone hear any F6F news? No, sadly not. I've not heard anything about the F6F recently. Okay. John Blair, the way it works, a separate little computer behind the Copilot running a version of Windows NT can be switched to the MFD, and that can communicate with UAVs and Sniper XR pods. Two-way video data link. Very cool. Yeah, actually, Barundus covered this in one of his videos. He talked about the fact that there's like a little laptop behind the left seater, and you have to like boot it up and check it and stuff like that. It's kind of a cool little detail. Ah, nice. Okay, you'll have to excuse me. My throat is starting to get a little bit worse for wear. I'm not very good at talking for long periods of time, but I think that's basically all of the news that we have for this week. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. Chat, you are, as always, what makes this stream fun and exciting, so thank you very much for your participation. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment. It's a really big help to me and to the channel. I've been Deepak. Normally, each week I would post a tutorial video, currently doing a series on the Mirage 2000C. I missed it today, unfortunately. I ran out of time, but I will be posting a video on the Magic 2 missile next. And thereafter, I'll post a bunch more, all about the Mirage 2000C. Still lots more stuff to go. John Blur, it did tickle me that it's running on an old Windows. I hope it's still got ski-free. Yeah, very much agree. If you want to further support the channel, you have the option of joining Deepak's ground crew for a small monthly fee. All you have to do is click the join button below. Big shout out and thank you to everyone who's already done so. Big shout out to Harish Rajan, Byron Farrow, Storm Kimbari, Channel Right, Mangash, J.R. Walker, Chandler Hedgevald, Griff Nizzle, Mr. Yeti, Frantic Stone, Bread, Tier Zero, Erdin Kirtan, Veli Tapani Corpicanas, Tiger Moto, Sean I Am 81, Charts, and Pink Floyd. Thank you very much, everybody, for your support. And thank you very much, chat. Only Napalm, is there anything new about the Cola map? No, we've heard nothing recently. And John Blair, cheers deep. Hope these tidbits were useful. Appreciate you as always. Thank you very much for sourcing just the finest tidbits of DCS news, John Blair. That was very much appreciated. So, thank you very much for watching, everybody. It's been a real pleasure. Fly safe, and I'll see you all next time. Ta-ta.